Hello there fellow humans and welcome to this video, and after the absolute spectacular ending of the F1 season, it is now time to return to absolute depression, also known as WoT Blitz. Now, here we have the Batcher Bourrasque. It is new, it's in crates, don't buy it. That's all I'm going to say for now, because obviously it is in crates and that is very bad, and don't even consider this tank at all. Don't look at it, wait for it to be out in the shop. It has a value of around 6,000 to 7,000 gold with how the stats play out of it. Now, I don't even want to talk about much with the crates. They're not the worst of crates that has ever been there, but they're still very, very bad. It also has a legendary camo, so basically after you paid, they want you to pay again, because they're greedy. Now, Wargaming accurately says it here, the Batcher Bourrasque is not for newbies. To put it mildly, it doesn't tolerate mistakes. Well, it doesn't tolerate any mistakes at all, which is actually nice to say of them here, but the problem is, this is all the way hidden down in the fine print. This should be the absolute first line right here, because this is the deciding factor of this vehicle. It is a okay tank, most of the time. You know, the only really good things about it is the mobility and the unload potential. So now let's look at it here in Blitz stars. What you can see immediately that the Bourrasque has, well, one thing, and that is higher alpha damage, but worse DPM and worse accuracy. So essentially, it's nothing special. You have the burst potential. However, you're going to be required to be a very, very good player to make that burst potential work, because your aim time's horrible, your dispersion is horrible. You only have 6 critical gun depression, which means you can't play that many positions really well, especially in the medium hills. It does go 60 kilometers an hour. And also the power to weight ratio is slightly better than the Skoda on the Progetto. However, it is obviously massively worse than the MX-1390. And the main difference between it and the 3090 is that the 3090 is faster, has better camo, but takes longer to unload its shell, because the clips are pretty much from raw damage are pretty much identical, because this thing has 2 shells with 320 and these have 3 shells with 240 or 225 here. So very much the raw damage output is the same. However, obviously these take quite a lot longer to unload, and in the armor there isn't any. Now obviously the chance of getting this tank is very, very low, but I simply want to show you that with 2 crates you're not going to go anywhere. 5%. Well, you need, I think it's 25 charms again, as pretty much it is for all of them, which just basically it's like 200 euros, most of them. So that is really bad. So let's see what we can get in these 2 crates. This probably won't be the tank, and if it is not the tank, then instead we're gonna simply play the MX-3090, because it plays very, very similar to the Bourrasque. Well, 28,000 free XP, 5 days of premium account. That is actually one of the better rewards that you can get, which isn't too horrible. Obviously, you should never buy these crates expecting a tank, because most of the time that is simply not going to happen. Most of the time, you're going to get something like that. I did get quite a decent amount of premium time, which is a very nice addition to these crates. But then again, the main reason you're buying those crates is you want the tank, right? And then for you to get premium, that's nice, but that's not the main reason you bought the crate in the first place. So, in the end, you always lose. See, the chance of getting this tank is very, very low, but I simply... I mean, I didn't get a tank, which was absolutely expected, and I don't need to, because the MX-3090 is very, very similar to it and plays a very similar playstyle. It just does it in a slightly different way. So let's go. Now, what did I mean by be the team's asshole? It's quite simple. Don't be seen in public with it, because, well, our T4 is not competent at all, which is very bad, and because they have 2 light tanks and we only have me and this idiot. But that is. So it shouldn't be much of a concern here. Now, obviously, the main problem is the T49, because that has a lot of alpha damage, and a 190 damage camper over there as well, which, yeah, is going to be the FV. Now, obviously, I can't really do much here, and that is one of the always biggest problems with this vehicle. If you get in a game like this, where either you don't have any other light tanks, or your mediums or lights are completely incompetent, you don't really have that much room to move around, and because obviously, now the T49 and the FV are going to take all the space, and it is simply impossible to fight them because I have no armor whatsoever. And this is now how this tank is played. You take a decent position and then you unload your clip. Now with the Bourrasque I could have done more damage there, that is true. However, obviously, the Bourrasque is a lot easier seen, and that is the main difference of what I meant with how they play different. This thing takes a bit longer to unload, but it's harder to see. So essentially those two things pretty much cancel each other out. So obviously if you can hide longer, and then you can also place your shots a lot more careful. And obviously that's a T-49, don't really want to fight him, just gonna wait for him to back off. Don't actually have any gun elevation in this tank, which is a bit weird, but it's a French tank, so they don't do that, apparently. And now let's see if we can get some shots on the FD301. And obviously the main problem is it requires a very, very, very skilled player to make this tank work. And together with the price, it is simply absolutely not worth it. Because you can get this thing for free, which pretty much does the exact same thing. And yeah, it's free. Now obviously, having 2 shots instead of 3 is a very, very good benefit. Gotta say, that makes the gun a bit more applicable, let's say, if that even is a word, I don't know. But certainly the MX claws it back with more mobility and more stealth. It's basically same thing. But yeah, my recommendation for the Bourrasque, if anyone tells you that it's good, don't listen to them. It is not good. It is decent. You know, it's not a bad tank. If you know what you're doing, you can certainly make it work like you can do with any tank. You can make a horrible tank work if you're a good player. But that just simply means that you're still going to do worse than a good tank. The average damage of the SDG is a lot lower than the T-42. So, it's simply that, and also, you don't have any armor. So this guy, he could have shot HE, but he didn't. And he also has the small gun only. And now I'm alone. Nice team. But that's basically, this kind of shows perfectly how you want to play this tank. You don't want to be with your team. You want to be the guy that's on the side, that's unseen, that's doing damage from a position that no one else is at. And sure, some people are going to get mad at you for it, but obviously if you're effective, it doesn't matter. And he just missed. And obviously he's going to ram me, and he's a lot heavier than me, so he's going to do shit ton of damage. But there you go, that's 2,600 damage for me. I did my job. I did more than enough. And if the team's not able to carry themselves, that is not my problem. And he just missed. But anyway, as you can see, this is kind of how these kind of tanks work. You play it from the side, get shots when no one's looking. And that's pretty much how these work, ideally. And obviously GG did a 50 TP, because like, they didn't do shit. But anyway, that's life. Not everyone can be a good player. I hope you will be, though, because obviously improvement is always great. However, what isn't great is when you ruin your team's fun. Hope I didn't ruin your fun and of the Bourrasque, because it can be worth it if you're a very good player and if you like light tanks, but that's a very select group of people, and it is only going to be worth it when it's sold for around 8,000 gold. Just saying.